Hi, welcome to Chamber Chats. Chamber as in Chamber of Commerce. I'm Bruce Williams, the CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that I live and work in the ancestral lands of the Lekwungen-speaking Coast Salish nations, the Songhees and the Esquimalt, and of course, as always, proud and honored to be working alongside them. Our Chamber Chats are presented to you by Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, and by C-SPAN, Victoria Shipyards. A while back, I did an op-ed in the Times Colonist newspaper where I pointed out that one of the great ironies of times like we're in right now, when there is a great need, especially from nonprofit organizations, very often the capacity to support those organizations goes away because people feel that they don't have the means of doing that. So we want to take a look at how, everything has been changed by this pandemic. How is the nonprofit and philanthropy sector being impacted, and what's it going to look like going forward? We'll find out with a couple of experts. First of all, Sandra Richardson is the CEO of the Victoria Foundation, no stranger to the Czech television airwaves. Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And thank you for doing this, Bruce. Such an important message to get out about our sector.
Absolutely. And Mark Breslauer is the CEO of the United Way of Greater Victoria. Mark, proud to serve with you on your board, actually.
Yes, and we're grateful to have you, Bruce. Thanks for the opportunity today, and a pleasure to be here with Sandra as well.
Well, these are unprecedented times. We are pivoting. You can take all of the cliches and put them in place, but this has been an interesting ride. Sandra, let me begin with you. What have you seen as the most significant change in the nonprofit sector in the last year?
Probably their ability, on the good side, their ability to change. All of a sudden, this has been thrown at them, social distancing, demand in services, and they've really managed to step up for that. But also the impact of how can they sustain themselves. Over the last year, they've had to maybe dip into reserves, hire staff where volunteers were in place. And this just increases the need. And I think, we had such a generous community last year and an outpouring of funding for them. But then all of a sudden, what's happening with government funding? Where are we now? So we'll probably get into where are we now in a few minutes, but certainly I would say it's a sector that really needs our support even more right now.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Mark Breslauer, the United Way, along with the Victoria Foundation, an organization that gathers money and then gives it away to other organizations. Tell me about what you've seen happen over the last year and what's changed.
Well, it's been a fascinating year in so many respects, but really a tale of early on at the onset of the pandemic. So within the first couple of months, given the uncertainty, just a whole question about delivery of services, and could in fact the not-for-profit survive amidst many others. So with that, we experienced some funding, the generosity of donors, government, and this great ability, as Sandra mentioned, to deliver on services in a very different way. So I think it demonstrated tremendous resilience, this ability to pivot and to shift and deliver as many did, was really the story. So that was chapter one. As it continued on, generosity continued, virtual delivery, given the distancing, the complete inability, in some cases, a lack of connectivity, so how to access recipients. So I think that was the biggest story. And again, uncertainty continues to reign. Some of the programs are imperiled, I think, are perhaps going to change or come to conclusion. So what next?
Christmas time was very unsettling for everybody. Mark, the United Way, was involved in a remarkable program that was launched around that time, and I'll come back to that in just a second. But Sandy Richardson, one of the things at the very outset of the situation in the pandemic that to me was a real sign of hope was the Rapid Relief Fund. And the reason that really grabs me is that early into this whole thing, we kind of said, you know what, if we can pull this off, we're going to be okay. So the Jol family came to you and engaged the Times Colonist and the folks here at Czech Television. That was an amazing thing, the way that came together.
It was. If you think of, we're not really into that fundraising like a lot of the organizations are. All of a sudden, we're all working at home. This wonderful partnership is presented to us. And the goal originally was $1 million, and we actually raised $6 million in 6 weeks. But this community, and I think a good part of it was being able to explain what the needs were in the community in these times. We had done some research, and basically most of our funding is around data from research, be it vital signs, but we did one report with a partnership with Vantage Point Vancouver Foundation, and that was called No Immunity. There was no place for these charities to hide. And it really pointed out the necessity for the rapid relief to really be funding the essential needs right now. And that had just sort of set the stage for us, and I think many organizations, including United Way, for the rest of the year, that people were willing and asking, what can we do? And you just saw that carry on to the end of the year, with Times calling us with their Christmas fund as well, that generous outpouring this year for that. So it really speaks to the generosity of this community, and that made it all the way across Canada. Victoria Foundation, United Ways, and all these other groups really set a stage for a pattern of sort of rapid relief across the country. So it was very gratifying.
Yeah, we didn't run away and hide. Everybody stood up and did their part, that's for sure. I want to talk next about something that United Way did around Christmas time. So Mark Breslauer, CEO of the Greater Victoria United Way. Around Christmas time, everybody are starting to panic. They don't know what's going on. It's uncertain. Can't see your family, can't be with your friends. Then along came a program that you guys were able to launch. Tell me about that.
Well, we joined forces with Capital Daily, newer digital source of information in the region across the island. It was a tremendous partnership. Literally built this as we talk about resilience, as so many of us have in the sector and in business, virtually on the fly. What should we do? Who can we support? The needs are so great. And so we put together a campaign, the Capital Daily Holiday Campaign, and people responded so generously. Over the course of 10 days, we raised $150,000 right at the end of the year. So it was literally hatched and launched just prior to Christmas. And those funds went to neighborhood houses, 10 of them specifically in our region, and they serve as hubs providing services to families. So an incredible response from the subscriber base. We were so proud to be part of it, and really kept momentum building through the year. And we had another one early on where we built a fund for frontline workers, and we're so impressed with the response to rapid relief, Sandy and the rest of the community. We were actually keeping a very good touch to ensure we weren't duplicating. And we launched a frontline a fund for frontline workers in conjunction with Accent Inns. So similarly, over the course of a few days, let's figure this one out, and the response was incredible. And there were about 1,000 rooms for frontline workers. So similar to Capital Daily, it was a very impressive response.
So as we move through all of this, and those immediate responses happened, and people stepped up, and they were generous, and they were engaged. When you're talking with donors about what they're going to be doing, a lot of vulnerabilities were exposed throughout this pandemic. So Sandra Richardson, I'll go to you with this question. Have you seen a shift in priority in people's philanthropy and in their giving?
Yes, I think what I've seen, which is just so wonderful, is people asking us more what's needed now. Like very often a model would be, you have a project, or there's a project over here and it's project funding. Is that willingness to step up and say, you know what this organization really needs right now is funding for technology, or it actually needs funding to help them with their staffing because of the volunteers that can't be there, or funding that is required for the mental health of their staff and volunteers. So I find a far greater willingness from donors that want to make a difference. And we always will call the organizations first just to make sure that what we understand their needs are. And then it's that transparency, accountability back to donors. But donors have really, I think, learned from this as well, that these organizations like United Way and ours are organizations they can trust and come to and ask those questions. So I think it's built a good trust base.
Yeah, trust is so important when you're dealing with
Yeah.
other people's money, frankly.
Mhm.
Mark Breslauer at the United Way, what kind of shift have you seen in people's priorities and their wishes for their money?
I think building on Sandy's points, more of this narrowing of the focus. So I think it's fair to say, especially the business we've been in at United Way, that food and shelter are pretty paramount and to both our organizations and so many. And so that has continued, but become perhaps a little more definitive around what sector in food. So Victoria, for instance, has the highest proportion of seniors in the country. I think the number is around 18%. So we've worked around isolated seniors and a meals program, and with meals, social engagement, interaction in actual delivery of those meals. So I think donors have looked at that, have certainly mental health and well-being is topical on every front. That goes without saying. All of these challenges, issues have certainly been exacerbated throughout. We've heard that, we've lived it. Donors have responded, and they have entrusted in us. And I think as well, we're entrusted in conjunction with Victoria Foundation and Canadian Red Cross by the federal government as well, to also assist the sector in a very big way. So that helps credential the organizations as well, and most importantly, deliver needs to so many.
People are always looking for ways to sort of get qualification or a baseline or some understanding of what's going on concerning our recovery and helping those most vulnerable. Sandra, there's something called the Unraveling Report. Is that what it is? And
That's correct.
Tell me about that.
Okay, well, it really is based on the first report we did, like I mentioned, no immunity. And that was that sort of look into where is the sector now, sort of at the beginning of a pandemic. And this is that year forward now. Where is the sector? And that's, I think, why the report is appropriately called Unraveling. We have done a lot for the sector, but these are some of the things that are looking at us now, the challenges that they have. 59% of organizations report an increase in the demands of their service. 64% reported decreased ability to deliver programs and activities. 71% of organizations, especially the smaller ones, are expecting budget shortfall in 2021. 48% expect to shut down their operation if the current situation were to continue. 20% say within the next year. 59% of organizations report a drop in volunteer involvement. Decrease in that has particularly hit a sector like arts and heritage. Sports and recreation I think are the two sectors hardest hit. So if you can imagine, if you're an organization, you don't have a place to perform, or what do you do with an opera, symphony, or the smaller arts groups? And the theaters that host them, they're also nonprofits and business. You know, we need them when arts come back too. So it still means the fabric of our communities is unraveling a wee bit, and there certainly will be a call for support. To your earlier point, you know, that donors are wondering what they can do. Well, I think between Mark and I, we certainly will have some good solutions there.
Yeah. And Mark, the United Way, of course, gets right to the point every year and delivers something called the Impact Report. So the Impact Report is a snapshot, right, of exactly where the help was needed and where it was provided.
Yeah.
Right. So within that, actually, we're nearing toward our fiscal year end. And so that report generally is produced in and around May. It will be similar in some respects. For us, it's about opportunity for people and in the human services field. So what we did with this narrowing of the focus into areas of action will be much more about areas around families in need, isolated seniors, diversity and inclusion, and mental health and addictions. And so our report will reflect those, some in a more of a direct delivery piece, but certainly the last number of years we've impacted some 80,000 lives per annum. That continues with more of a specific focus will be what we can foresee and what we've been living here.
This is Chamber Chats. We're recording in the Czech studios in their podcasting studio. I want to wrap it up with talking about some big wins. So Sandra Richardson at the Victoria Foundation, we talked about the Rapid Relief Fund, but outside of that, tell me about something that you identify as a big win for your organization and for the community in the last year on the nonprofit side.
Well, I think the continuation of some of the programs we have, and one of them that encourages me the most is the Food Recovery Center that we established. And when you look at that, it's just a perfect example of about 50 organizations that have worked together, but also a wonderful example of government, business, and charity funders coming together. And I think that's one of the models of the future. You know, how do we look for those partners? Like Mark talked about the accent inns. We've talked about some of our partnerships, but to me, that's a win. Also, that the rapid relief just didn't want to go away. So one of the wins that we've set up is our community activity funds. So because we're a broad in scope funder, we have to be prepared for every type of donor to tell us the area they want to fund. And also that rapid relief continues within that bucket. So people are still giving to that, so that those funds will still go back out into the community immediately. So that rapid relief was a real winner for us, but it certainly has opened us to many activities, and the research, I think, that we are doing, that we're pleased that we were able to react to that, as we will react to unraveling and have various sessions for the community through our Vital Conversations.
Speaking of Vital Signs, of course, will be out from the Victoria Foundation,
Yes.
And Vital People airs on Czech television. You can hear those stories there on a very regular basis. Mark Breslauer, United Way, let's talk about some of the wins, a big win or the wins that you've seen through the organization this year.
Well, certainly spoke to a few of the collaboration, Accent Inns, Capital Daily, but a couple, if I may. I think we were in the third year of a granting cycle. Given the great uncertainty, certainly in the early months, there was some question, could we actually deliver on that, given people's capabilities and the resources at hand? So we're very proud to say we're able to honor that, and that goes out to not-for-profit partner agencies. So that was huge. And a couple of specific initiatives. I mentioned meal delivery to isolated seniors. So we developed a marquee program called More Than Meals. We were able to work with 4 local agencies and deliver nutritious meals at preferred costing. What was pre-pandemic 200 meals a week, we are now delivering 1,200 meals a week. And incredibly, the food is, of course, of paramount importance, but the engagement of the volunteer delivering actually was equally as or more so important to the recipient. So that was huge. The program's well underway and the demand has not in any way lessened. Another initiative working with a few agencies was the Little Phoenix Daycare, which is the first of its kind in BC. It's a trauma-informed daycare. Fantastic initiative done in conjunction with some UVic research. So a number of community partners coming together and working with Greater Victoria Family Services and VERX, the Refugee Society. There are some 31 spaces available to children. Daycare spaces are at a premium at the best of times, and this is for a special group, either seeking refuge from domestic violence or perhaps newer Canadians, where some of the programs, well, there hasn't been the same level of immigration, obviously, over the course of the past year. There is still a buildup in programs that have diminished. So that daycare at North Park is going to be amazing. And if I could put one more in there,
Sure.
I think it's just the collaborative effort with Victoria Foundation, again, on the federal program, foundations and United Ways across Canada were given this privilege and mandate. The needs were great. We ended up working, I think, as a benchmark for all other cities.
Yeah.
Very harmonious, seamless for recipient agencies, and really worked out to make a huge impact on the community.
You know, the collaboration part is what's so important, right? It's in your name that you are the United Way. We are the Chamber of Commerce and bring people together. And the Victoria Foundation is a foundation of a number of people that invest in solutions for all of us. So there's a lot of stuff we didn't get to talk about here today. So we're going to have to do this again very soon. Sandra Richardson, you speak quite often about the concept of a civil society. We should revisit that at some point too. But to both of you, thank you for all that you're doing, for your amazing teams, and to all the people who invest in the solutions that you help create. Thank you for all you do in our community, and thank you for being with us here today. Mark Breslauer is the CEO of the United Way of Greater Victoria, and Sandra Richardson is the CEO of the Victoria Foundation. I encourage you to continue supporting whatever nonprofits you have been supporting through your workplace campaign or your personal philanthropy or giving. And if you haven't been in the habit of doing that, this is probably a good time to look at it to help yourselves out and help your friends and neighbors. Thank you both for being here. I want to say thanks again to our sponsors presenting this program, this Chamber Chat, Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, and our friends at C-SPAN Victoria Shipyards. And again, thanks to Czech Television, who provide us with this podcasting space to do this. And if you have any interest in yourself in doing something like this, please contact Czech TV, and they can let you know how you can access this space. These are all available, of course, on Czech Television through their website and through the website of the Chamber of Commerce, which is I should know this, victoriachamber.ca. And yes, that's us. Chamber Chats. I'm Bruce Williams, CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. We'll see you again for a Chamber Chat.
For more episodes of Chamber Chats, go to checknews.ca/podcasts.